So yes, welcome to this workshop on job searching tips and techniques. So we're going to cover a wide range of things. As Lawrence will know, because he's been to one before, we want this to be kind of pretty interactive. So I don't want to kind of sit here and talk at you for an hour, because the whole point of this is that it's kind of a bit more personal and that it's a workshop rather than a lecture. So please do get involved. And if you have any questions throughout, then ask away. Like, that's what we're here for, to kind of help you with that. So we're going to cover a wide range of things, some job searching tips, techniques, and also a bit on LinkedIn. So hopefully you should kind of learn a few bits and bobs. So I guess let's make a start. So a question to all of you, to both of you. I've kind of already covered this with Sophie. Like, do you know what job that you want? Because I think it's important to have like an end goal before you kind of start out your job search. Because if you're just looking for any old job, then it's going to be more challenging to figure out kind of how to write the application, because you want to kind of tailor it to the jobs that you're applying for. So it's pretty important to kind of know or have an idea of what sort of job that you're interested in. So out of the guys here, how many of you know what job you want or what you're interested in? Sophie does, I believe.
Lawrence said videographer or filmmaker.
Oh, interesting.
That's quite good, yeah.
Videographer and film, and then so junior design is the other one, isn't it?
Yeah, junior design.
Cool. So this next part may not necessarily be relevant to you right now, but it could be relevant in the future. So, and again, for anyone else that might be watching this in the future, if you're wondering how to know what job that you want to do, so many people, when they start out their career, like, they have no idea what job they want to do, because, you know, unless you've had that experience and you've been exposed to it, you won't know. So how can you go about figuring out what job you want? And as I said, for the guys in the chat, you might say, like, you know what you want to do, but maybe after you've tried it out, you figure it's not for you. So basically, you can ask yourself a few questions. So yeah, I mean, we've kind of gone through that already. So yeah, if you know what jobs you're interested in, then that's great. But as I said, there's a few questions that you can ask yourself. So the first one being, like, what sort of things do you enjoy doing in your spare time, like outside of work? So, because obviously in your job, you're going to be spending more time there than you are at home, unfortunately, pretty much. The majority of our lives is spent working. So I think, you know, to figure out kind of what you're interested in, you can look at the things that you're interested in outside of work, so the things that you're doing when you have no limits on your time. And then you can kind of hopefully pursue that into a job. So I presume for both of you guys that you're quite creative then. So, like, Lawrence, do you kind of create videos and stuff in your spare time? Have you made any, or have you tried out any? And equally, Sophie, do you like draw and design stuff in your spare time? Is that something that you do, or is this just something that you want to kind of practice?
Lawrence said yes.
But, like, as I said, so these are obviously questions that we've got another response.
Yes, he said always being creative.
Excellent.
Good.
So yeah, I mean, while these questions kind of are for people who maybe don't know what they want to do, you guys can use this to make sure that the career path that you want to do is the right one for you. Because if you can answer these questions and it kind of matches up with the career that you've set yourself, then I think you're in a good place. So the second one, what are the key skills that you have? And if you don't know, then you can ask the people that know you well, so potentially family, friends, because again, if you want to be, I don't know, a historian, but then, like, your skills are more practical based in terms of, like, sport, or you're a better communicator, or you are a better leader, maybe that might not be the right career choice, because historians have to do a lot of different research on things. So again, maybe ask yourselves, are the key skills that are kind of involved in the role that you're after, are they the same as the key skills that you have? or are you working on those key skills that you need for that job? So next one, where would you like to work? So again, for some people, there's a limitation on where you want to work in terms of location. But like the jobs that you guys have picked are fairly general. To be fair, you could probably freelance them. You know, if you build up a bit of a portfolio, you could do them from anywhere. So that's a good thing. But again, you know, sometimes you're limited on location. And then the last one is like, do you have any like specific requirements of the job or employer? So again, this is quite a niche question, but for example, some people have like ethical issues, or they have ethical beliefs or moral beliefs, and maybe some companies don't abide by those beliefs. So that might be a key thing for them, which limits their search and their career pathway. So again, that could be a consideration. So I know maybe that those aren't as relevant for you guys, but hopefully if you ever get stuck, you can kind of ask yourselves a couple of those questions and figure out what your next direction is. Okay, so let's have a little thought shower. What ways can you use to find jobs? List them in the chat. Alea, Monica, feel free to get involved. Yeah,
sure.
There are an awful lot of ways that you can find jobs.
Lawrence put Indeed, LinkedIn, and Facebook groups.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's a good one. Facebook groups people don't often think about, but that one's actually a really good one.
And social platforms, yeah.
Any others to add from you guys?
Word of mouth.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a good one.
Yeah.
Have you got any others, Leia?
Well, like newspapers and stuff, they sometimes advertise for jobs. I know it's quite, people would say that's quite old-fashioned.
Yeah, it is, but,
Depends if you use the newspaper or not.
Absolutely.
Yeah, job website, Sophie, definitely.
Yeah. So there, as we've established there is a huge amount of ways that you can find jobs. So I'm going to go through a few of them, and there might be a few that you've not thought of before and that are worth trying. But equally, most of the ones that you've mentioned there are covered here. So I've put a list of job searching sites there. How many of those have you guys heard of? Or how many of them have you used? So like, obviously most of these tend to be kind of fairly generic and nationwide, but Nottingham Jobs is a local one. Obviously, if you're based locally, then that's a great place to find like your more local jobs. It's great to use a variety of these sites. So it's easy to say like just stick to one, like, oh, I'm going to look through Indeed because there's thousands of jobs on there, which is fair enough. But if you use a combination, then you're going to kind of maximize your chances of finding those particular jobs. You might find as well that some jobs are replicated across different sites. That's very common because obviously the company wants to get the jobs out there as wide as they can, so they'll use all the different platforms. But if you use like 5 or 6 and you search for long enough, you should find quite a good variety of jobs that are out there in that particular area. So I know we mentioned job searching sites before, like so I think maybe 1 or 2 of you mentioned some job searching sites there, which is great. Are there any on there that you guys have not used before? Because like, to be fair, I don't think I've ever used CV Library or Total Jobs before, but like they're out there and you may as well use them, because the more resources that you use, ultimately, the better exposure that you're going to have to jobs ultimately.
It's funny actually, I've never used none of them because all my jobs have been through word of mouth.
Yeah, well, that's it.
I've only ever used them for other people. It's odd, yeah.
Got something in the chat, haven't we?
Yeah, Laura's put Glassdoor, LinkedIn.
Oh, Glassdoor is a great shout, actually. I didn't mention that on here. So again, with Glassdoor, that's an interesting one because I don't know. Well, I'm sure if you've mentioned it, then you're aware of that. But I think maybe they have this on other sites as well. But Glassdoor is really interesting to me because they have like a reviews function. So basically, you can see on there like the jobs that are available, but also reviews from current employees or previous employees of that particular company. So you can see what people say about that company. So maybe if you're thinking of applying, you might see some of the reviews and go, actually, that's not the sort of company that I want to work for, because that information you couldn't get off the company website or off some of the other websites. So Glassdoor is a really, really good one for that. And also, I believe on Glassdoor that they have sometimes a list of interview questions that get asked. So people that have been to an interview at that particular company, they will go on there and they'll put some of the questions that they got asked in their interview to help future people. I mean, that tends to work mainly for the bigger companies rather than the smaller companies. But if that is a really, really good resource, so that's a great shout. I should have put that on here, really. So great shout, Lawrence. And again, I don't know how familiar you guys are with those sites, but that one is a really, really good one. So yes, we'll move on to the next part. So there's a lot of ones there, a lot of sites there. But what can you do to make it easier when using the job searching sites? What things can you do to I guess, make it less overwhelming? Because I think whatever job searching site you go on, there'll be thousands of jobs on there. So how can you kind of narrow it down? What things can you do? Do you guys have any techniques and tips and stuff? You write them in the chat. And equally, if you, Monica or Leah, if you guys have any tips and stuff from using the sites, because I mean, they are pretty overwhelming and there's so much information out there.
Yeah, Lawrence put narrow your search, which I was just about to say. So yeah, good one. Make the distance close, definitely, and alter your search settings.
Absolutely. Great suggestions there.
Yeah, definitely make the distance close, but also sort of like, because we work mainly sometimes trying to help people find jobs in the Rushcliffe area, if we go on to like Indeed for say, and we put in the distance to be in Bingham or Cotgrave, which is in the Rushcliffe area in Nottingham, we wouldn't get as many jobs as we would if we put in the Nottingham area as a city. So always be careful on that as well, because you don't want to just put your area of where you live. You don't want to make it too close, make it like to where you can actually get to.
Absolutely. What else we got?
Yeah, so if you put search for the correct job level, for like, yeah, just put, for example, like assistant junior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think you've kind of covered the main ones there. Like a filter, we said that already, location, salary, job title, area. I mean, the good thing about that is that you can make it as specific as you want it. Obviously, the more specific that you make it, the less jobs are likely to be on offer. So, for example, if you wanted to be like a junior designer, you could say how much salary that you wanted to earn. You could say where the location was. You could say the specific job title. That's another one. So when using job sites, I think it's really important that you read carefully what it is that you're applying for, because sometimes you can get kind of like door-to-door sales roles on there, which is probably not what you're after, and it's advertised as something else. So I mean, I guess if you can kind of, if it seems too good to be true, then it probably is. I know that phrase gets thrown around a lot, but I think it's really important that you kind of read what it is that you're applying for, because even the job description or the description of the role itself could be a bit misleading, or it could be marketed as something else when in reality it's not, and that they're trying to kind of get cheap labor, or sometimes they have like multi-level marketing companies on there, or pyramid schemes. So yeah, I guess just be careful and make sure that you read carefully the information before you apply, because some of the sites like Indeed, you can do like one-click application where like once you've uploaded your CV, you can literally just like apply, which is great and makes the process easier. But equally, you can get caught out by stuff like that if you kind of don't read carefully what you're applying for. Again, maybe keep your options open. We said like use filters to limit your search, but equally, just because they don't have your particular role, you can still keep your options open. So you could search for the industry rather than that specific role if there's not something that you're looking for. Look for other similar companies. There's a lot of different things that you can do. And then kind of what I said earlier about like the reading of the job title description. So again, I was going to say this is particularly for job titles. So when I wrote this, the one that I had in mind is business development executive. So if you saw that on an application, what does that say to you? Like if I said to you guys that I was a business development executive, what would that mean to you without knowing kind of what that actually means, if that makes sense?
Big high up job. Lawrence put, yeah, I was just about to say the same.
A big high up job. What about Monica and Sophie? Any thoughts on that one?
I would say the same. It just say like it sounds like you're on a high level salary or something, or you're on a high level position in the company. It just sounds like.
Yeah, so if put ads, I'd say the same. We're all pretty much the same.
Yeah, and I was of exactly the same thought process as you guys, because I started seeing, when I was looking on these job searching sites, I started seeing business development executive appearing everywhere, and I thought, that why are there so many of these? But it turns out that by reading it a bit more carefully, it's just a salesperson. So basically, they've changed the job title of a salesperson to business development executive to make it more attractive, so that people apply more. Because people might apply, as you say, thinking that they're getting an amazing deal, when in reality they're literally just going to be a salesperson. And it sounds posher, it sounds better. So I guess it's important to don't be fooled by the job title, because again, often it's a marketing technique at the end of the day. They want people to apply, so they're going to make it sound as good as it possibly can be. So make sure that you know what you're applying for.
That's crazy.
I know. So also, this may not be as applicable for you guys because it depends on the industry, but you can use specific job sites and industry sites to help you job search. So with civil service, so this is like government jobs, but also government agency jobs. So there's such a wide range on offer there, but quite a lot of the civil service jobs you can only apply for through the civil service jobs website. So they won't be advertised on your regular job searching websites. And equally with like construction jobs, like you might get some specialist construction roles on that particular site. And equally, if you have a particular company in mind that you want to work for, it's worth looking at their website as well. Because they may not advertise on these job searching sites or through other means. So quite often companies will have like a recruitment section on their website where jobs are advertised. So I think it's good to investigate, if you have a particular industry or a particular job in mind, see if there's any resources out there on that particular industry, because they might have some specialist resources or some particular sites where they have their jobs, which you won't find elsewhere. So particularly if you're looking at design or videography, there might be some sites out there. I don't know on that one because I wasn't kind of sure which sites to look at, but yeah, definitely worth a look. And if you have any, as I said, if you have any kind of companies in mind, then definitely have a look over there. So again, we mentioned this a bit earlier, or I think Monica mentioned this one. Speak to people, your family and your friends, because at the end of the day, some companies hire only internally. So I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of this, or if you've ever had this experience before, where like a job is own. So when I say internal, it just means that like they won't advertise it out. So it's only open to people within a company, so that the people within the company will know about the jobs that are happening, but externally they won't be advertised as that. So if you know someone working in a company and then you get talking about jobs or whatever, they might say, oh, actually, there's a job available at my company where I can put in a good word for you or something like that. So definitely use your contacts. I mean, if you have people that you know that are in the industry that you want to get into, speak to them, see if you can get a bit of experience in that industry, see if like there's any opportunities, any vacancies. It might be worth just, getting in touch and saying, oh, like, I'm really interested to get into this industry. Is there any, will you keep me updated on any potential opportunities or vacancies? Because as I've written there, like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. You could be the most qualified person in the world, but if you don't have the contacts to know where the next opportunity is coming from, then you're not going to get there. So I guess I'm kind of curious, has anyone here kind of experienced that about like family and friends being able to, or not even necessarily family and friends, but like people that getting a job because they've known someone, or getting an additional opportunity because they've known someone?
Yeah, I think definitely from me, my first ever job was because I knew someone who owned her own care business, and I obviously wanted to get into care. So definitely from me, from both jobs.
From me too. I used to work at Boots many years ago, before you were born, and my brother got a job there in the factory bit because I was working there, and he stayed there until very recently. So that made a difference.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that, that just shows, doesn't it, how important it is. And again, it sounds obvious when we say it like that, but it might just trigger something, or you might think of someone who, like, oh, actually, I've not thought about them before. Like, maybe they can help me, sort of thing. So yeah, that's another way. So we'll move on. Mailing lists and job alerts. So again, this one is a bit of an interesting one, but Nottingham Jobs, for example, if you sign up for their mailing list, they will give you an email with any jobs that they've got and that they're aware of. So that will keep you constantly up to date. So if you are looking at your emails, you'll know which jobs are coming up and which ones that you can apply for. You can also set alerts and stuff for the jobs that you're interested in, so using those job sites. So I've got something on the next slide, I believe, which kind of shows what I mean by that, and it's fairly straightforward. But I mean, if you get to the stage in your job search where you are you're struggling, you've looked at all the job sites, and there's no jobs that you actually are interested in that are available at that time, then you could set a job alert and you'll get an email every time that there is one. So then you can apply for it straight away. You can be the first one to do it, take advantage of the opportunity. So again, do any of you guys have like these job site notifications or alerts for these websites or Nottingham Jobs or anything? So yeah, like, what I mean by that is you can see, so up here I've put like investigator into the search bar, Nottinghamshire 25 miles. So for example, there's 14 jobs here. Say you weren't interested in any of them and you wanted to get an alert, you could literally type in your email address down here and then press send me new jobs, and then every time there's a new job posted with like investigator in, then you'd get an email to say, oh, this job is available, you should apply, that sort of thing. So that could be quite a useful way to kind of stay up to date. Equally, where like you could bear in mind the different words that you can use and that sort of thing. Cool. Sweet. Yeah, no, that's really good. You've got your job alerts, so you know what's going on with that. But as I said, like, don't forget that the wording of the job titles can be changed. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of figuring out what the right job titles are, because you could have some synonyms for particular jobs where you get like the similar type jobs. So the same job, but it could just be a different word to describe that particular job. I can't think of any examples, but that's something to be aware of if you're looking at those particular jobs. So hopefully it's going to go. So yeah, ready for work job clubs. I don't think whereabouts are you guys normally based? Because I don't know if you're aware, but we run job clubs every Wednesday and Thursday, 1 till 3 p.m. So normally these are in Cotgrave and Bingham in Rushcliffe. But at the moment we're doing like virtual support, which is, I guess, part of this, but also we support people on a one-to-one basis. So if any of you guys at any point need to get your CV or your cover letter checked through, or you just want some job searching tips and advice, like on a one-to-one from either myself or Alea, then you can get that by dropping us an email and we can book in a slot for you. And then we can kind of assist you one-to-one to help you get onto that next step that you want to get into. So even if you literally want to, check through your CV and just say, oh, is there anything that I can improve? Or, you want another pair of eyes to look at something, that's what we're here for at the end of the day. So don't be afraid to drop us an email. You've already got our email address because obviously you're here. But in case you need a future reference, like young@trentbridge.co.uk or either Alea or myself, and that will reach us.
Yeah, definitely.
So LinkedIn, this is probably one of the more tricky things. So do you guys know what LinkedIn is or like what it's used for?
Yeah, both do.
Perfect. Sweet. So I won't cover this in too much depth then. But yeah, I mean, it's basically like an online profile or like your CV online in a social media format. I always say it's like a professional version of Facebook in a way. And then obviously there's recruiters use LinkedIn as well. So I'm guessing both of you are on LinkedIn already and you have a profile. Because I think both of you have said that you are aware of that.
Sophie said yeah.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my LinkedIn profile and I'm just going to run through the some basic features. Like you probably will be aware of quite a few of them and hopefully you know how it works, but I'll kind of share with you in a bit more detail and maybe some features that you were not aware of, so that it can kind of help you in your job search. Can everyone see my LinkedIn, or are we on Indeed still?
Yeah, I can see your LinkedIn.
Cool. Right. So hopefully you guys are familiar with this. So this is your homepage. This is where like any of your connections posts will display, but also it's not just your connections. Anyone that you are connected with, it's any post that they like as well. So any posts that someone you're connected with likes or comments on will appear down here. So you might see some kind of random people that you don't know. That's totally cool. It's a great way to reach things. So I think that's something to be aware of, that if you're kind of browsing through LinkedIn, searching for whatever it might be, and then you like something, just be aware that everyone in your network and that everyone in their network can see what you've liked. So of course, keep it professional if that's the image that you're trying to give off. I think it's really important when it comes to LinkedIn that you have a consistent brand image. When I say brand image, like yourself, so whether you're coming across as professional, and maybe it would be useful to kind of post things within your niche. So again, by niche, so Sophie for you, design, and equally Lawrence for you, like videography, photography, that sort of thing. So yeah, homepage, not too much more to be said about that. So let's go on to my profile. And how developed are your profiles, guys? Do you kind of have everything on there, or are there kind of some bits that you're not sure about? Is there anything that you want me to go through about LinkedIn in particular? So while people are answering that, this is my profile. I've got a nice professional picture there. That's actually really important that you have like a professional picture on there. None of these selfies or anything like that. Because at the end of the day, again, I suppose it depends what you're using LinkedIn for. If you're using it to try and find jobs, then definitely you must have like a professional picture rather than no picture at all. Get someone to take a nice one of you in, I don't know, professional shot, kind of like a headshot. Definitely don't want like a holiday picture or anything like that. So that's really important. And then this also is an interesting one. So this is within your settings. Like you might not be able to see this necessarily on your profile, but this is available within the settings. You can show recruiters that you are open to work. So then your profile will get like sent to recruiters, and you probably get a load of them message you saying, "Oh, I've got this job opportunity. Do you want me to send like your CV off or your profile to that particular employer?" So if you're looking for jobs, that can be a way to assist you in doing that. Basic things like, so about section. People use the about section in different ways. I use it a bit like the personal profile on your CV. So if I were you, I would just kind of copy and paste your personal profile from your CV onto this about section. But equally, some people use it as a more detailed summary of like everything that they've done and their main achievements and stuff. And you can do that as well. It depends on how you want to do it. But I guess essentially this should be a summary of who you are and the sort of things that you're good at and what you're looking for on your LinkedIn profile, I guess. So again, that's kind of up to you. And then, so down here, you've got your followers, obviously, and then your experience. So again, this is similar to just like your, similar to your experience section of your CV. So like all your work experience, all your relevant work experience can go down here. You can write as much detail as you want, pretty much. Again, just make sure you fill out all the information, like your responsibilities, your dates that you worked there, where you worked, etc., etc. You go all the way down. Education, again, very self-explanatory, same as your CV, all good stuff. So then we go on to like skills and endorsements. So with skills and endorsements, you can put whatever skills that you want down here. An endorsement literally just means that someone that you may have worked with or that you're connected with agrees that you are good at that skill. So you can literally put any skills down here, anything that you think is relevant. So you might want to, check which skills are required within your industry. And then you can write those here. I mean, see if you can get some endorsements, I guess. It's not amazingly important. I don't think people use the skills section that much, but it's good to have on there so people have an idea of like what your best skills are. Recommendations. So recommendations are quite a good thing. If you're able to get a recommendation, it gives you a sense of credibility. So by recommendation, it's essentially just someone kind of writing a summary, like imagine a review that you would write on like, I don't know, TripAdvisor or Google reviews or whatever. That's essentially what this is. It's someone kind of saying, this person is really, really good at what they do. I've had XYZ experience with them and I would recommend them to other people, So if you have a positive experience with someone, with an employer in a professional setting, you could ask them if they're able to do your recommendation, because at the end of the day, it might help you. Like, it's really, really useful. I know not necessarily either of you guys are like running a business or anything like that, but a lot of business people run off testimonials. So like the testimonials is kind of like this. So they get them from there. It gives them credibility to say that they're good at what they're doing. So yeah, if you're able to get a couple of recommendations, that's really, really good. Accomplishments, interest, again, you don't need to worry about that stuff too much. I will quickly cover a couple of the interesting things in the settings, because there's a couple of interesting things which you need to be aware of. So most of this stuff is self-explanatory. It's just general stuff. and quite a lot of the privacy stuff is, yeah, you can check this in your own time. It's not anything crazy to go through, but I will go through a couple of different bits when I find them. Not there. Visibility. This is the bit. Okay. So this is an interesting setting here. Profile viewing options. So essentially what this means is when you're on LinkedIn, if you kind of go on other people's profiles and you look at them, they will get a notification that you specifically have looked at their profile unless you turn this setting off. So if you are doing a bit of research on your potential employer via LinkedIn, totally cool, go for it. More power to you, you get more information that way. However, if you have your kind of profile filled in, then all of this will appear. So like exactly who it is. So if you're potentially going for an interviewer, it maybe doesn't look as professional if it says that you're viewing their profile. So if you want to change it so that it's just anonymous LinkedIn member, you can browse in private mode. So this way you kind of have a bit of anonymity. However, it also means that if you are in private mode, that when people view your profile, you won't be able to see who they are, essentially. So it kind of works both ways. So that's something that you may wish to consider with your LinkedIn profile. And that is, as I said, this is automatically on this unless you change it. So that's an important one to do as well. And then another one is, let me find it. So this one again is also another one that's worth mentioning. So say that you are kind of updating your profile. Say you're putting in like some more education, you're changing your job title or your job responsibilities. If this setting is on yes, not in that one. If this setting here is on yes, so shared job changes, education changes, work anniversaries, then people that you're connected with will potentially get notifications like saying that you've just started a new job. Whereas if you don't want to do that, then make sure that setting is on no. So that's another kind of important thing there. So those are like the major couple of settings I think which are worth considering on your LinkedIn account. What are you guys looking to kind of get out of LinkedIn? If you want to answer that in the chat. I don't know how much do you guys use LinkedIn? Okay, so is there anything else that you want me to cover in terms of profile, or is that kind of covered everything? I think I've covered all of the basics in terms of like a LinkedIn profile. If you want, I can cover some more like basic stuff on using LinkedIn, because with LinkedIn, if you want to be like successful, as with any social media, the key is to be active and to engage with other people. So if there's people that like you are connected with who are in your particular industry, it's worth just kind of liking or leaving a comment on their posts so that you kind of engage with them. Then in return, they are more likely to engage with you back. I'm not saying that by liking and commenting on all of their stuff that you will automatically get something back and that you should expect something back. But that can be a good way of you building up your rapport and your contacts within your particular industry. So as I said, if there's anyone in particular that's kind of, strong in your particular field, maybe it's worth connecting with them and saying, I've got a really strong interest in this particular industry, and I saw your profile and I just wanted to connect to, stay up to date with what's happening in this industry or something like that. And that will allow you to connect with new people in that setting. So yeah, if there's anything else that you guys want me to cover on LinkedIn, more than happy to. But that should be a kind of like a basic outline of most things that you need to know. So I'll go back onto the presentation. So some top tips for job searching. do any of you guys have some top tips that you have found or that you that you want to share? I've got 5 top tips here. So obviously the first one, do your research. We've mentioned so many different ways to find jobs. Oh yeah, LinkedIn, obviously you can find jobs as well. There's a whole job section on LinkedIn where you can search for jobs and whatnot, similar to the other things. It's in terms of like, you can do the same things like filtering and whatnot, so that you find jobs which are suitable for you. But that's another good way to look for jobs. But yeah, as I said, there's so many different methods that we've covered in terms of how you can search for jobs. You know, do your research, use your resources. You can use us, you can use other organizations, use all those different sites. If you work like hard enough in terms of, you know, searching for jobs, eventually you'll get something. And if you need the support, then we're here as well to support you. Are there any other tips that anyone wants to offer before I go through these ones?
No, I'll see if I have anything to add after seeing all of your good tips.
So this is another one. I don't know what social media stuff that you guys use, but again, this is hopefully fairly self-explanatory, but be aware of like your online presence, and maybe it's worth doing a Google search on your name, see what comes up. And if people were to find your social media profiles, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever else, would they find anything which wouldn't give you the job? Because that a lot of employers do search on social media to see the sort of person that they're potentially employing. So it's worth, like, obviously you can still share stuff on social media that whatever you want, but I think it's just looking at your privacy settings and looking at what content is available to view for which people, so that you're kind of maintaining a professional image when you're searched. Don't give up. Self-explanatory, you know, keep going. Job searching is a difficult process. There's no two ways about it. But if you don't give up and you keep going, then you will find something suitable for you. Make each application unique and different. Again, as we've said before as well, like all the different companies offer different things. They're looking for different qualities. They're looking for different experience. Tailor it to each particular one. So as we've covered in previous sessions, you can use the job description and person specification to adapt what you're saying and your application to that particular employer. So do that. Make sure that you don't do like the quick submission on Indeed where you go apply. Oh, I applied for 1,000 jobs today. Oh, yeah, great. But then you're unlikely to get 1,000 job offers because companies want to feel special at the end of the day. This is quite an interesting one because like using your initiative can set you apart. So like, is there anything that you can do in your job search that will make you stand out? So I'm going to go on to a little story time here, a very short story time. But when we were hiring for one of our roles, we had a simple application form which had 3 questions on about like the job and why people wanted the job, etc. One person submitted an additional sheet with like some diagrams and some more text about like why they wanted to do the role and why they thought they were suited for it. So even though we'd given an application form with 3 questions, this person went above and beyond because they wanted that job, and because of that it stood out, and that person like pretty much had an edge over everyone else because they'd taken extra time out of their day to tailor their application and to kind of use their initiative and make their application stand out from the other people. So if there's anything that you can do to make yourself stand out, then definitely do it. You know, get creative. Maybe for you, like for both of you, as you're both looking for creative fields, you could do like a video application or something for one, or you could like design your CV so that it looks extra special or amazing. I don't know. You know, think of any ways that you can think outside the box so that your application goes to the top of the pile rather than at the bottom. So I think I'm getting towards the end here, and we are nearly at 4:30. So I've put here some unusual job searching stories. So my experience with job searching, and this is where it's going to relate back to the whole like don't give up thing. So when I was searching for an internship while I was at university, I applied for like 50 different places and I got like rejected from all of them. But like the more that I did, the closer that I got to getting it. And I got the last one the last one I didn't even actually get. The last one that I had an interview for, I I came second because in the interview someone else got it above me, and then the person who like interviewed me said, we are really impressed with like how you performed. There's this other role over here which might be good for you. Would you be interested in kind of putting you forward? So they put me forward for it. I had an interview there, and I got the role. And that was because like of the perseverance. It was because of the persistence. It's because I did all of these things, and I learned throughout the process to keep applying, to not give up, and to kind of keep learning. And I tried to do things to make myself stand out. I learned from each experience, and I used my contacts as well. I didn't actually apply for the internship that I got, which is kind of weird, I know, but you know, I was able to use my contacts. So I'm going to throw it over to you as a kind of one of the last activities. Have you guys had any interesting experiences with job searching or anything like that?
Lawrence put he got a job and then never heard back from it after. It's a weird one.
What? That's well strange. How did that work though? Like, did you get written confirmation that you got a job, or did they like just say it verbally? Because that's a bit dodgy if they've like said you got a job and then you haven't. To be fair, you've probably not missed out on anything if they never got back to you.
They said it verbally and in an email. They said they'll get back to me, but never did. Oh, wow.
That is strange.
That's really weird. It's dodgy.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that
dodged the bullet
before.
probably there. Okay, so I'll finish off because I know we're getting close. Yeah, is there anything else which would be useful, or you have any other questions that you want to ask? By all means, put them in the chat and we'll get them answered. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope that was helpful.